Hi, everybody. It's JJ Conway. You can find me on the web at jjconway.org. And that is the wrong screen. How about that? I think that looks a lot better. You can find me on the web at jjconway.org. I am here with 28 things my people need to know about money. This is in honor of Black History Month. This is our little celebration of wealth building and solid financial principles that will help us change our future generations, y'all. I'm so excited about today's lesson. It's the last one that's going to be kind of long. All the rest of them are going to be a lot shorter. But these first four, they have by necessity and been kind of long because they're the foundational principles, okay? And I say the first four, but I think I'm actually going to rearrange this and make this one the first one. We'll see how that goes. But for now, let's go ahead and get into it. This is 28 Things My People Need to Know About Money by JJ Conway, a financial planner, pastor, and speaker. You can find me on the web at jjconway.org, and my ministry page is KingstownFamilyLifeCenter.org. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the racial wealth gap, and this is a very curious topic for me. Now, here's the thing. One of the reasons this video was a little delayed is because I'm moving this whole series over to Vimeo. Okay, Vimeo is going to give me greater control and flexibility over the videos, and it's going to give you a better playback experience. So that's a win-win for both of us. So make sure you go to vimeo.com/album/4963488, and then you'll see all of these posts in one album. Now, make sure you go out there soon because pretty soon we're going to lock them down, and you're not going to be able to see all of them. So you want to get in while the getting's good, all right? Okay, so today we're going to talk about the racial wealth gap. And so the first slide I want to show you today is a chart that it's from 2010, share of all net worth held by each race. Now this probably shouldn't be, this is for the United States. I think I cut that part off. Okay, this shouldn't be that much of a surprise to anybody. But here, as we go into the next slide, this is what is really concerning to me. Okay, so when we look at net worth, you know, we see how things have gone over through the recession and then coming out. You see that as people of color, Hispanics and blacks are losing, as they're losing, whites are also losing, but they're bouncing back, whereas people of color are not necessarily bouncing back. Now, I'm not sure why Asians were removed from this one. I've got another chart that's going to show the Asian population, but I think it's probably because that one tells a different story, and hopefully I have that in here later. With the folks that are, well, let's drill it down into Black Americans, okay? For those African Americans that are born into a poor upbringing, as adults, they're staying poor. Whereas if you look at the other side, more whites who are born into poverty are able to climb out of poverty by the time that they are mature adults. Okay? Here's one that's even more telling. This is what really bothers me. These are people who are in the middle. So let me go back. Oops. Let me go back. Okay? This is the bottom. All right, out of everybody who starts off in the bottom 25% of wealth in Black America, 50% of those people stay there. Of the people who make up the bottom 25% of wealth in white America, only 23% stay there. And as you can see, there's quite a bigger spread of those who end up moving up to the super highest brackets. So if you're a poor white American, you've got a 16% chance of moving up and becoming wealthy, ultra wealthy. Whereas if you're a Black American and you start off poor, you've only got a 3% chance. Okay? So that's pretty significant jump. And what's even worse is, let's drop to the next one. Now these are people who are in the middle. Okay? People who are in the middle, I said quarter, but it's really quintile. People who start off in the middle class, more of them, over 50%, are finding themselves in the bottom of the barrel by the time they're adults. as opposed to white middle wealth holders who have a very average spread. So half stay, some stay the same, some move up, some move down. It's very pleasing to the eye statistically. But when I look at this black side, I see that they start off middle class. Parents have worked hard to get their kids through college and get them somewhere. But for some reason, they are sliding back down into poverty. Why is that? Take a look at this here. It's really easy to blame it on, well, we can't find good jobs, we can't find good jobs. There are a lot of programs out there that have leveled some of the playing fields, and one of those is that African Americans and Latino families are able to have more of a monthly income or a yearly income than in the past compared to white families. All right? So income is not the problem. So if income is not the problem, then what's the problem? Well, let's say maybe it's education. Okay? Well, let's look at this chart here. This chart tells me that people who go to college in all sectors, people who go to college and graduate do tend to have more wealth than people who don't go to college, than people who just graduate from high school, from people who don't even graduate from high school. But if you look at this chart, at each jump for the white families, you see an appropriate level of jump in wealth. You don't finish high school, you're down here at 50. You finish high school, then you're getting closer to 75. You take a few college courses, maybe you go get your associate's degree, then you're almost to 100. But you go to college, now your median wealth of that group, this is back in 2013, is almost $300,000, as opposed to the black and Hispanic folks who are still under 50. Let's take a little video that kind of explains a little bit about this. See if I can turn that up yet.
Where whites just got a lead based on, when in actuality, several hundred years of slavery.
Let's start that over.
The reality behind the racial wealth gap. In America, we understand race as a literal footprint, where whites just got a lead based on effort. When in actuality, due to several hundred years of slavery and 100 years of Jim Crow, black people were more like the shoes whites wore down to run forward economics. The recent data from the Federal Reserve Survey of Finance tells the story that even though the media shows that middle black millionaires like Steph Curry and LeBron James, without the family car, the middle black family is worth just over $4,000, while the middle white family is worth over $140,000 in the same account. In fact, according to the Federal Reserve data, the middle or 50th percentile black family is equivalent in wealth to the 20th percentile white family. In terms of wealth, black middle is the equivalent of white poor. The upper echelon of wealth tells us much the same story, showing that white America makes up nearly all of our nation's top 1%, with only 380,000 black families having a net worth more than even a single $1 million. All while, according to the new data, 15% of white families are worth more than $1 million, and over 1 million white American families are worth more than $10 million. The racial wealth difference isn't just a gap. It's a seismic hole that's only growing and needs policy immediately to fix it. Subscribe to learn more at tonetalk.org.
Wow. What do you think about that, huh? What do you think about that? And more importantly, what are we going to do about it? Yes, we, whether you're black, white, brown, red, purple, there is a racial wealth gap in this country. And those of us that have acquired some wealth, we have a responsibility to equip those who desire to escape poverty. I'm not saying we have a responsibility to give our money to them. I'm not saying we have a responsibility to equally distribute wealth. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we've been blessed with education and knowledge and resources. And I would be remiss if I didn't make opportunities for people to come behind me. So let's talk about what we're going to do about it. And that's what we're going to do in the rest of these 28 days. The very first thing is wealth education. In order to achieve a higher plane of living, you first have to know that that living exists. I think about the economics classes I took in college. I was one of very few people at the Air Force Academy who sat in my economics class and was hearing this information for the first time. I was also one of very few people in my economics class that looked like me, and probably one of very few that had the same background, although I never got close enough to my classmates at that time to really understand their backgrounds or where they were from. So the very first step is wealth education, and that's why I'm so glad that you're here. Just by being on these videos and inviting your friends to watch, and your children and your friends' children and children that you mentor, you will be planting seeds of wealth in the lives of all you meet. The next thing we need to do is we need to start talking about college funding. You know, one of the reasons that so many people of equaling or in the same similar income have such a wide wealth divide is because many of our students don't understand how college loans work, how to pay for college, how to choose a college, how to work through college in a way that is advantageous to them. Also, many of our parents don't understand that they can save for college those first couple years of a baby's life and never have to worry about it again. Thirdly, there are a lot of tax loopholes and other things that grandparents of wealthy families understand, or even upper middle class or even middle class families understand, that many people who I talk to that look like me do not understand. So we are going to talk about some of those strategies, because it is very possible for grandparents to sow a legacy seed into their grandchildren's lives and help secure them for a lifetime of wealth building. So we're going to talk about college funding. We're also going to talk about debt management and leverage and the proper ways to use both tools. Now, I'm going to have to make you mad at me right here, okay? I'm going to make you mad because you're going to not like what I have to say. But you see this picture of this shoe release, okay? I do first Saturday of every month in the Pierre Bossier Mall. I do a free wealth building class. We cover topics like business building, choosing a business that works for you, real estate investing, broke mom marketing, all kinds of topics, some written by me, some written by others who are thought leaders in their fields. And yet I never get anybody lining up outside of my shop like this, waiting for me to open. When I open up my training center, I might have a faithful few that really are determined to change their lives. But when Foot Locker has a shoe release, them and several other stores in the mall that offer the same shoes, they all have lines out the door. They make it hard for us to walk on days when we don't have our wealth building meeting and we decide to walk, which is what we do every other Saturday when we're not having a wealth building meeting. And yet many of these people, if you ask them who are buying these shoes, are buying these shoes with debt. And I'm not against having nice stuff, because, you know, my son, he goes to a private school and they have school uniforms. So I'm like, well, if you got to be stuck wearing the same thing every day, well, your shoe game's got to be tight. And so he does get some good shoes, but I make him also help earn those LeBrons. All right? And we're not just handing out stuff, and we are certainly not handing it out on debt. And I'm going to show you why in a little bit. Okay? We're also, hey, while I'm on the topic of little man and his shoes, if you look down here in the corner, that's his YouTube page. Please support his YouTube page, because the more you support his YouTube page, the more you support his shoe habit, and the less I have to cover it. But here's the thing, okay? When I type into Google, long line for shoe release, I find pages of pages of pages of pages of strategies on how to get the shoes, how to wait in line, how to cut into the front of the line, how to make sure you get notified, how to be on the right list so that you're always the first one that knows to sign up for a shoe release. And I have no problem with that. But can't we also apply that same ingenuity to building wealth, to getting out of debt and making our money work for ourselves? You saw my example in the last video where we talked about things that were investments and that weren't. And we talked about my Brahmin purse that I like, that $300 purse, that if I was to put it on a credit card and pay those minimum payments, I'd actually be paying almost $400 for it. And what I'm trying to encourage us today as a people is to save up for it. Get the $300 purse and put that other $100 into your future, into some investments, into your kids' future, into their college fund. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking you to decrease your quality of life. I'm asking you to up-level your quality of life. The next thing we want to talk about is building wealth despite systemic racism. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by systemic racism? Because, you know, racism is practically over today. The laws prevent it, and anybody can go get a job, right? Well, it's not quite that easy. Yes, anybody can go get a job. But to truly build wealth often requires networking, and it requires relationship building. In some areas of the country, this is easier said than done. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I have, being military, have experienced living in many different states and have experienced having business in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states now. So I can definitely talk about some of the racial imbalances depending on what portion of the world you're living in. And I can also give you strategies to overcome that. We have 2 classes that really, really will help those of you who want to be entrepreneurs. I have one called Money Blossoms that teaches our children how money works, but the one that's applicable to this point in building wealth despite systemic racism is that we have a lesson called Yes, You Can Start a Business, which teaches our children how they can start a business. I've been doing this class for 2 years now. It's been a blessing for everybody who's taken it. So if you want to change the legacy of your youth, get them my Money Blossoms class, all right? And we're going to be giving you tips from that class throughout the rest of these 28 days. The one for adults is called Grow Your Own Money Tree Virtual Boot Camp, and this is where we talk about fantastic ways to grow your own money tree through other streams of income. Now, I'm not talking about signing up for an MLM. I'm not talking about signing up under my business. I'm talking about things you can do to take your passion and turn it into wealth. That's what I want you to do, whether it's blogging, whether it's live courses, online events, speaking, podcasting, or even affiliate marketing. And if you've been watching me for any length of time, you know I love affiliate marketing because it doesn't cost you anything to post those links, and you can make money helping your friends find the stuff that they want at no cost to them. That's a win-win-win. A win for you, a win for your friend, and a win for the affiliate company. The final point that we want to talk about in these 28 days, and of course we're going to mix and match these, so we're not going to talk all wealth education and all funding, college funding. We're going to mix and match it, but we want to talk about investing. We want to talk about market cycles. We want to talk about business cycles. So here's what happens to a lot of us. Somebody gets a hot tip from the barbershop, and we go and drop our savings in there, and we lose it, okay? Note to self, you are almost always going to lose your money on a hot tip from the barbershop, unless your barber is a financial planner, which can happen, okay? Usually doesn't, all right? But we want to understand the market cycles. The market goes up and down in a cyclical form, and over time it creeps upward. So over time you're making money. But in the short term, you might lose money. And what happens when we start losing money? We freak out, and we pull all our money out of the market, and guess what happens? People with money buy all of our shares at low cost, and they hold them, and they wait for the market to come back like it always does. Whoa. So in that instance, we have then transferred our wealth to someone else. So we have got to understand how these investment cycles work, and if we have a side business or if we're in a business environment that our pay is not very stable, we have to understand business cycles. We have to understand that business ebbs and flows. So, for example, I'm a financial planner. What are some big times that people want to get their finances in order? At the beginning of the year, I get a lot of business. Towards the summertime, when everybody's getting married, I get a lot of business. Graduation, I get some. Christmas, I get some. Roundabout tax time, I don't get a whole lot because you know what everybody's doing? They're spending their tax returns. Those are my least attended classes because nobody wants to hear me tell them, hey, here's what you need to do with that tax return. But I'm encouraging you to hear it, and I'm encouraging you to change your life. I'm encouraging you to build wealth, not just for somebody else, but for yourself, for your children, for our community, and for your legacy. All right, so that's what we're going to be talking about over the next rest of this month, and we're going to have little bonus questions. People have been sending me your questions. Thank you so much. I've got a good queue of questions, and we're going to start working through them one by one. From now on, you can find this series, including the bonus questions, on our new Vimeo channel, which is vimeo.com/album/496-3488. I hope you guys will join me tomorrow. That's it for today. I really appreciate y'all being here. If you have some money questions, get them to me at ministerwiggins@gmail.com. I know it's an old email, but it still works. Well, even if I set up a new email, I still got to look at the old one to find people's questions, so I might as well just keep on using it. All right, send me your questions, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm JJ Conway. You can find me on the web at kingstownfamilylifecenter.org and jjconway.org. Y'all take care and be blessed.